Computer. So as I've been working with your sales reps as individuals, getting them on board in the Cyrano service, I've noticed that you have a pretty wide variety of personality types. I think that's a good thing for what you do. And I wanted to come back to you and show you TeamKeeper because I think it's going to help you start leading them as individuals instead of as a team. And I'm not projecting this onto you because I've gotten to know you fairly well, but a lot of people tend to lead people using the golden rule. And they tend to lead and motivate the way they used to like to be led and motivated when they themselves were selling. And I'm not sure that's your scenario. Is that something you want to talk about?
Pretty much my scenario. And I think that's some of the issues we have in the management style. For me personally, always been motivated by, quotas and money and pretty much drive that through the sales reps. And I know that we're having some issues with some of the reps in terms of managing and attaining quotas. So if there's any difference that we can do in helping managing these folks and understanding personalities, I think it's a key issue.
Okay. Well, I wanted to show you TeamKeeper, and I don't ever share my clients' data with any other client. So we've got a dummy account here, but the results are very real. Real people have taken these assessments. I just want to give you an example of what kind of information you can get on all of your salespeople, on how they like to be coached, motivated, rewarded, acknowledged. And this will immediately cover up any blind spots you might have on how you're leading, 9, 10 salespeople today. So if you don't mind, let me give you an example, and then let's talk about how this might apply to your people and how you tend to manage them. So let's just use this one example here. So we're going to look at a profile for someone named Daniel Anthony. And again, let's think through one or two of your reps that probably will come to mind as we talk about this. You can capture all sort of data on them, birth dates, what they like, what their hobbies are, things like that, important dates, maybe even business anniversaries. But let's say you want to know what motivates this particular person. Now, for you, I think you said that you were always goal-directed and you like to be financially rewarded when you achieved or exceeded your goals, right?
Yep.
Okay.
So how are you getting this data? How are we obtaining the data that's on this screen?
Well, that's a great question. They take two very simple, quick online assessments. So they're going to be asked, one, for their personality type, and two, for their values and motivators. And it's a matter of answering multiple choice questions. The personality type, or the DISC assessment, takes about 10 to 12 minutes. And the values and motivators takes about 12 to 15 minutes. So you can figure to block out about a half hour per rep. And when they're done, it automatically auto-populates your dashboard. So you can very quickly go.
So everything we're doing to gather this data is based on DISC and DISC assessments.
DISC assessments and motivator assessments, and it combines the two. They're two completely different assessments. One.
So I'm familiar with DISC, but some of the reps I know are not. And we talked about putting some type of assessment in place, especially for hiring people and retention. But I think we can talk about that later. What happens in a DISC assessment if somebody is not truthful in terms of filling out the two assessments? So they just sort of lie about what they're doing and how they're filling it out. How does that impact the report, and what does that do to my management style for them?
That is a great question. Sometimes people tend to answer questions the way they wish they behaved or wanted to be perceived. And in my consultation with you, we're going to talk about that because I'm really good at reading these results. And we're going to talk about each rep. And if there's a wild differentiation, so if, for example, somebody thinks that they come across as calm and cool and a great listener, but you've been watching them in sales calls and interacting with other people, and they're like a high eye and they're a great storyteller and very expressive, that's an issue. Now, we have a DISC 360-degree assessment we would want to give that one rep, where we can tell their behavior is not how you think it is. And then your coworkers or the other salespeople are going to take that same assessment on how they see his or her behavior. And then we can also send out a link and have the customers and prospects spend a few minutes and click how they view that behavior. And then we get a graph, and it will show very clear shot patterns. So let's say that your customers and prospects and coworkers see this person as a high I, and they see themselves as a high C, then we're going to be able to change how we mentor and coach and interact with that person.
And then do I need to take the assessments?
We definitely want you to, because your style will impact how you naturally want to coach other people, and your values and motivators. You might have a tendency to project those onto your salespeople. Most people tend to lead the way they like to have been led, and most people tend to sell the way they like to buy. It's just a natural behavior we fall into. So I would love for you to take it, because then we can talk about maybe some of your strengths and maybe a couple blind spots you might want to be aware of.
And then as a manager, do I have access 7/24 to all the information that you're showing me? And at the same time, can we always update it as we move forward? So in other words, is this a year thing and then it goes away? Or can we keep track of all the data and information on each rep?
You can keep the system as long as you like it. It's an annual contract. It's very cost effective. If at any time you don't feel like you want or need it anymore, you can always download your reports and print them and keep them permanently. So it's entirely up to you. Personally, I don't know how someone could remember all this and try to do this without having a dashboard in front of them. It would burn up all my mental RAM.
No, I like that, because at the last company that I was at, we did go through some of these assessments, and they were sort of put in a folder, and we knew them, and we knew maybe where we could improve upon the skill sets and all that type of stuff when we read through the assessments ourselves, but that was it. And then they just put them away. So
well,
that's nice to know that I have access to this.
Having written a lot of books on DISC and worked with a lot of clients over the last 20 some years teaching this, I knew that that was the biggest issue, was implementation and making it a habit. And that was the problem with paper assessments. They tend to get filed and never used. 30, 60, 90 days later, the manager's back to managing exactly the way he was comfortable doing it, and the salespeople were out selling in the way they were comfortable doing it. As soon as I saw this tool, I knew I needed to use this with my clients, because now it goes from theoretical to application. It's exactly what this does.
Okay.
So let's say, for example, that you were trying to manage this particular person. And let's say you wanted to reward and find out what motivates this person. For you, it was always money, right? Now, what I love about this is that you don't have to master the motivators. And going back a screen, you don't even have to master DISC for this person. Certainly, it will show you the results, but more importantly, it always tells you what to do and what to watch out for. You don't even have to understand how it works. So down below here, it just says, here are the 3 things that most motivate this person. Number 1 is theoretical. This guy loves learning, knowledge almost for the sake of learning. Economic is still important. He likes money, but it's not as important as learning. And altruistic is high as well. So this person likes being part of a team, likes helping other people, and probably, I'm willing to bet, is great at helping your clients. So if you wanted to really put together a program to keep this person motivated, I would use all 3 of these. So for example, you could give this person a budget every quarter to go learn things, especially around selling and psychology and persuasion. This person would love to go to seminars and workshops. They would love to learn things online. They like to watch videos. And then I would let this person teach it to the sales team, because he wants to help other people get better as well with the altruistic. And then lastly, when this person begins developing as a team leader in terms of training, I would reward that person financially to do so. I'm guessing you're typically using strictly money as a motivator for your team. Is that a good guess?
Quotas and money. Good guess.
Okay. Well, the beauty of this is, let's just say that you were going to give somebody $1,000 a quarter every time that they hit quota. We could still maybe give them $500 check, but imagine taking that other $500 and rewarding and motivating them in a way that's personal to them. And they know that you took the time to get to know them and find out what's important to them. You're still going to invest $1,000 in that person, but you're probably going to get a much more dramatic result. Might you agree?
Agree, but if we just gave $1,000 a quarter, I would have no reps, but I understand your point.
Well, if they're not hitting quota, they're going to get nothing. So let's talk quickly about then how you would communicate with this person, because it all ties together. So on this screen, you get very quickly, here's what you should do when you're communicating with this person, and here's a few things to watch out for, okay? But what's really cool about this particular screen is that you can go to this drop down and decide what is it you're doing next with this person. Do I want to acknowledge them, or do I want to praise them, or do I need to counsel or correct them? So let's say, for example, you want to go back to motivating with this person. What sorts of things could you do? Well, this person likes to be accurate in logic. You want to be clear when you're motivating this person. You want to document things, avoid exaggeration. So what you would probably do with this person is sit down and together put a plan in place for what they need to achieve, what's going to happen when they achieve it, and what the next goals are. Now build into this. Go ahead.
Sorry, but you started to answer my next question there. Do you highly recommend that we sit with each sales rep and I go through this with them as well? Or do I keep this behind the scenes where they don't see this and only I do?
I would keep it behind the scenes and only have a few notes prepared when I went into the meeting, just to make sure that I know what to avoid and what to do. But no, I wouldn't let them see my notes. I wouldn't let them know what I'm doing. I just want them to feel that every time they leave a meeting with me, it went really well for them. So for some people, they like a very short meeting with literally a headline and a couple bullet points and go get them, Tiger. And that person will run with the ball like crazy. Some people you need to
sit down with a plan. Okay, that's fine. What do the sales reps then get? Do they get the report from their DISC assessment that they can look at and then try to be able to help change their behavior and their style?
That's up to you. We can do it both ways. The reports are chock full of good things based on people's style. It will help them know their blind spots when they're communicating with other people. It'll let them know their strengths. Then you and I could sit with them and we can talk about leveraging their strengths, and then over time help them mitigate their blind spots. Maybe give them one thing to practice for a month. It could be to control interrupting other people if they're a high I. It could be to take copious notes and then have a system for following up and following through if they're a high I. If they're a high C, they'll all automatically be great at compiling data and asking great questions. Their problem might be they're not expressive enough. So we could just teach them how to practice small things and improve over time.
Okay, because if we do this, what I would like to do is allow them to have the report from the DISC assessment so we can work with them on, changing behavior and being a more effective sales rep. Because everything that we're doing now in terms of our sales team is how do we enable the reps? How do we better support the reps? And what types of tools and techniques and training can we have available to the reps to make them better sales reps, for the organization, and then also utilize that for net new onboarding sales reps and change our methodology internally so we're better supporting sales teams and sales executives and sales representatives. So if we can take that data and use it from a coaching perspective, that would help us tremendously. So
I like that idea, and I'd like to add something to that. What I think we'll do is send you all the reports at first, because it's a lot to compile and it's a lot to read through, and a salesperson could have paralysis by overanalysis. There's so much in there. But we'll go through the reports and results for each rep, and maybe then we'll just put together a simple game plan so they don't feel overwhelmed, and maybe give them one thing to practice and one thing to avoid until they get the hang of it. And then we'll go back to the report and find their next biggest blind spot and have them work on that for a month.
Okay.
But I'll leave that up to you. You're going to have all the information. What you do with that as a leader is up to you. I'll give you some suggestions and I'll work with you. But I think that, having the data and having it in front of you is the most important thing. And really, at the end of the day, this how you want to lead them is up to you, but this is going to give you the path to do it.
I also like about this, if me as a leader promoted or I end up leaving and someone replaces me, all the data and information is there per rep. So it'd be easier to retain and continue to manage the reps in a similar fashion. So the consistency is there. So
that is a great point. As a matter of fact, I have a couple other clients where they don't have a sales manager like you. They're not quite big enough. So the owner's still managing the people. And I've had 2 or 3 of them very quickly figure out that if then they all put this in, when they put it in, that actually makes their company more sellable for the next buyer, because they can just jump right in and already know the team and avoid all that time of getting to know people and how they want to be led and treated. So the
Good to
last
know.
thing, yep, the last thing I wanted to cover here was on the people skills. And really at a glance, and as we go through these results, you might find that in here you've got some people who are really good at hunting and some are good at farming. And we might be able to take one or two of your outside reps and put them on an inside position, more customer service. And you'll probably find that they'll be a lot happier and a lot more effective. We might also find that you got one or two on the inside who've been dying to get on the outside. They just never came and asked. They might be built to do that.
So it can help us with career paths as well and putting people in the proper position.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So I'll get to you with some pricing and a proposal for your team. And do you have any final questions?
Nope. Looks good to me.
All right. Appreciate your time, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.